Okay, picture this. It's Saturday night, maybe you're at your favorite sports bar. The big game's on one screen, you've got golf on another, maybe a highlight reel looping over there, and the local news tucked away on a fourth screen. Now think about the person actually trying to manage all that, the bartender, the owner. Four screens, four different things going on. How do they actually switch a game or, put a different channel on just one specific TV without getting tangled in wires or juggling like a dozen remotes or needing some kind of engineering degree just to work the TVs? It's a super common problem, really frustrating, whether it's that busy pub or even like a complex home theater setup. So today we're taking a deep dive into a system that's designed to cut right through that mess, the WolfPad Multiple Apple TVs tablet control system. It basically promises to get rid of that multi-remote madness for managing screens. We're going to dig into how it works and who it's really for.
Yeah, and what's really interesting here, I think, is how it zooms in on exactly that pain point you mentioned, just the sheer complexity of it all. So our mission today is to unpack what this solution is, really get into who it's designed for, and that part might surprise you a bit, and just fundamentally understand how it makes controlling lots of Apple TVs across lots of screens simpler, all from one tablet. Think of it as maybe a shortcut to understanding some pretty clever tech and maybe a smarter way to handle your whole AV setup.
Okay, so you set the scene, that frustration we've probably all seen or even felt. But let's drill down a bit. What really makes it such a headache for, say, a bar owner or an employee? It's more than just having too many remotes, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The core problem this WolfPad system really goes after is that huge headache of managing specifically multiple Apple TV HDMI signals and then getting them efficiently to multiple TVs all at the same time. A lot of setups, they either need you to use each remote individually or they involve really complex, often expensive programming. This system, though, it's presented as an app, graphic and hardware design built specifically to, quote, eliminate the frustration of changing multiple Apple TV controls with their remote controls. And the real kicker, like you said, is doing it all from one familiar tablet. That's a big shift from how things are often done.
Right, that idea of just, grab a tablet and go, that's super appealing. But sometimes simplicity claims can hide limitations. For something tackling this level of complexity, where does it really make an immediate impact? And what kind of scale are we talking about? Is this for like 2 or 3 TVs or?
No, it's definitely designed for significant scale and flexibility too. The system boasts controlling up to 16 Apple TVs. Those are your sources, your content. And then it can route those signals out to up to 36 TVs, 36 displays.
Wow, okay. 16 sources to 36 screens.
Exactly. Think about that. 16 different screens, maybe showing 16 different things, going to 36 different TVs, and basically any combination you want. That's a serious amount of control they're promising from, well, what they say is a surprisingly simple interface. It's definitely not just for a small setup. It's built for bigger places.
Okay, now here's something that really grabs my attention, and probably yours too, if you're listening and maybe not an AV tech expert. It's a pretty bold claim they make about usability. Because, let's face it, many complex AV systems need a ton of setup, custom programming, real technical know-how just to get them running, never mind using them day to day. But WolfPad seems to push back on that.
Yeah, they make a very strong, very direct statement. Quote, no programming knowledge is required to set up your system as our interface is intuitive and simple. And that's a huge differentiator. I mean, pro AV control has often been the realm of specialists, right? They say it's designed for a single purpose, to control your complete system all on a tablet of your choice. So it's clear, this isn't some generic control system you have to bend to your will. It's built for this job, which is key to making it accessible.
And they even get really specific about who they built it for. It paints a really clear picture, and it's definitely not the usual AV integrator crowd.
Absolutely. The list they provide is, well, it's quite revealing. It says, sports bar owners wear technical knowledge, waitresses wear technical knowledge, hostesses wear technical knowledge, bartenders wear technical knowledge, DJs wear technical knowledge, and other similar companies or employees.
So really frontline staff.
Exactly. That laser focus on ease of use, they say it's intended to boost the morale of the employees, taking away a major stress point, especially when things get busy. And for the owner, it stops them from getting called at home and asked how you control the matrix on a Saturday night. I bet that happens a lot.
Oh, I'm sure.
So yeah, it's about efficiency, sure, but also just kind of peace of mind for everyone.
So it's clearly great for sports bars. That's the obvious use case. But it sounds like it's really for any place that needs easy AV control without needing a dedicated tech expert on hand all the time.
Precisely. The system, they say, fits well in sports bars, restaurants, bowling alleys, casinos, country clubs, gyms, sports arenas, sports training facilities, and more. That versatility, combined with the core idea of simplicity, that's a major part of its appeal. It really hits a specific need across a whole range of businesses: hospitality, entertainment, even fitness centers.
That no programming knowledge required line is powerful. But, for this deep dive, we got to ask, where does that simplicity maybe hit a wall? Are there really complex setups where actually you do still need some tech savvy, or does it truly hold up?
That's a fair question, and I think it comes back to that design philosophy. It's simple because it does one thing really well. It's not trying to be like your whole building automation system. It's laser focused on routing and controlling Apple TVs. The company handles the complex stuff, the underlying code, the customization through their cloud tool. The end user never sees that. They just use the graphical interface on the tablet. So for that specific job, managing Apple TVs, yeah, it seems like it really does deliver on that promise of no user programming needed.
Okay, so let's talk about using it day to day. What's that actually like? You walk up to the tablet.
Yeah.
Then what? Is it intuitive, or are there hidden menus?
They describe the process as really straightforward because apparently all functions are handled on the single screen illustrated in their guides. So picture the tablet screen. On the left, you'd first pick the Apple TV you want to control, right? From a list like Apple TV 1, Apple TV 2, etc.
Okay.
Once you pick one, a source button turns gray, and maybe the name of what's playing, like ESPN or Netflix, shows up near the top. Then, over on the right side of the screen, you see a grid of buttons for your TVs, TV 1, TV 2, TV 3, and so on. You just tap a gray TV button, and boom, that TV is now connected to the Apple TV source you picked earlier.
Simple enough. What if you tap the wrong one?
Good point. If a TV button is already showing that source, maybe it turns a different color, they don't specify exactly, tapping it again apparently acts as an undo. It disconnects it and sends it back to whatever it was showing before.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you hit TV 5 by mistake, just tap TV 5 again. Quick fix.
And controlling the Apple TV itself, like menus, play, pause.
Right. On the left side of the screen, there are buttons that work exactly like the buttons on an Apple TV remote control. So you can navigate the Apple TV interface, select shows, play, pause, all that stuff directly from the tablet, and the actual control signal to the Apple TVs. That happens via IR infrared, just like your normal TV remote sending a signal across the room.
That really does sound intuitive. They seem to have mapped out the common tasks pretty well. But what about the stuff behind the screen, the hardware? What actually comes in the box when you buy one of these WolfPad systems?
Okay, yeah, the hardware. It's a few key pieces designed to connect your tablet, your matrix switch, and your Apple TVs. You get, first, one proprietary control code. This is the software magic, basically, for talking to a WolfPack HDMI matrix switch. That switch is the traffic cop for your video signals.
Gotcha. The matrix isn't included, but the code to control it is.
Correct. Then you get one 6-foot male-to-male RS-232 cable. That's a standard serial cable to connect the controller to that matrix switch. Reliable connection. Then, the interesting part, one modified pre-owned Crestron rack mount controller with an AC adapter. This is the brain, translating your tablet taps into commands.
Hold on, pre-owned Crestron. That jumps out. Using older refurbished gear in a new system. Why do that? Does that affect reliability or future updates? Tell me more about that choice.
Yeah, it's definitely a point worth discussing. It's a strategic move by the company, and they're upfront about it. They explain it's to offer you a dramatic lowering of cost compared to competing systems that cost as high as $10,000. So it's primarily about hitting a specific, much lower price point.
Okay, cost savings. Makes sense.
They use these legacy Crestron products, which they emphasize are American-built and are made to last. They're positioning it as using proven industrial-grade hardware. Now, they do state these pre-owned units may have minor cosmetic defects like scratches, but they guarantee it in no way affects the operation. And crucially, it comes with a 5-year warranty. That's pretty solid for any hardware, let alone pre-owned. So they seem confident in its reliability.
A 5-year warranty is pretty significant.
It is. You do need to know it takes up 3U height in the rack. That's about 5.25 inches of vertical space in a standard equipment rack. So you need room for it. It's basically a trade-off. Maybe not brand new aesthetics, but you get established reliability and core functionality at a much lower cost.
Right, okay. That clarifies the pre-owned aspect. It's a deliberate choice for value.
Yeah.
So we know what you get, what don't you get, what else do you need to buy?
Super important point. Critically, the system does not include the Apple TVs themselves. You supply those. It also doesn't include the WolfPack matrix switch. You need to buy that separately. That's the hardware that physically routes the HDMI signals.
Right, the WolfPad controls the switch, but isn't the switch itself.
Exactly. And of course, you need a tablet, iPad, Android, Fire tablet, whatever you choose. That's not supplied either. So the WolfPad is the control layer, the intelligence, the interface software, the connection bits, but you bring the sources, Apple TVs, the distribution hardware, matrix switch, and the displays, TVs.
Okay, that's clear. So beyond the core function and the ease of use, what are the standout reasons someone might choose this? And are there any sort of finer points or things to watch out for if you're considering it?
Well, some key reasons to buy they highlight are, first, that any in-to-any out capability we talked about. Routing any of the up to 16 Apple TVs to any of the up to 36 TVs. That's powerful flexibility. Then there's the convenience, controlling all those Apple TVs right from the tablet. No need to, run back to the equipment rack with 10 different remotes.
Big time saver, I imagine.
Huge. Another plus is the flexibility to use any tablet. You're not locked into buying an expensive proprietary screen or just iPads. Use what you have or what fits your budget iPad, Fire, Samsung, Android. And for scaling up later, they say, need to add a TV, just call us, which implies, direct support for expansion rather than needing a whole new system reprogramming.
And what about the money side? Buying it, returns, fees. AV systems can sometimes have complicated costs.
They seem pretty straightforward here. They call it a no-hassle purchase. They offer free shipping, 60-day returns, even a free return label, and specifically no restocking fee. That's quite consumer-friendly.
Okay, good policies. What about ongoing costs?
This is a big one. No monthly or yearly fees, and no license or subscription fees.
Oh, so it's a one-time buy.
Exactly. A one-time purchase price of $1,250. That's it. Makes budgeting way simpler for a business. They even list the part number, WolfPad Apple, and UPC 728-350-689-590, and state it's in stock. That transparency is refreshing.
Definitely. Okay, so let's get into some specific questions someone might have, especially in a real-world busy place. What about using multiple tablets? Can two bartenders control things at once? And features people expect from Apple stuff, like Siri?
Right, good operational questions. This is where you see some of the system-specific design choices. A key point from their FAQs. While you can have any number of iPads or tablets connected, it's fundamentally a single-user system.
Single user. What does that mean in practice?
It means if one person is actively making changes on one tablet according to the FAQ, they can interfere with another user trying to use an iPad at the same time.
Ah, so two people can't reliably change different TVs simultaneously?
Apparently not. That does feel like a potential bottleneck in a really busy bar, maybe. They do suggest a sort of workaround.
Yeah.
You can see on the remote iPad what the first user is doing, so you know not to use the iPad until they are done.
So you need coordination between staff. Look before you leap, basically.
Kind of, yeah. It requires awareness. Also important. Siri, not supported. No voice control here. And this specific model, the WolfPad Apple, it only supports Apple TVs. If you need to control DirecTV boxes, DISH receivers, or cable boxes, they have other WolfPad versions for those, but those cost more, up to $2,500.
Okay, good to know. Is Apple TV specific for this model and price? What about setting it up initially, getting the program onto the controller?
For smaller systems, the programming seems to be stored right in that Crestron controller, and you transfer it using an app. But for larger systems, maybe needing multiple interface pages, they say it requires remote loading via their customizer. And getting the app onto your tablets, they say you need to send them in for setup, unless you buy a separate controller option that enables remote setup. That might be a logistical hurdle for some.
Yeah, sending tablets in isn't ideal.
Okay.
So quite a few nuances there under the hood. So wrapping things up, what we have here is a system that seems really focused. It's powerful in its niche, controlling multiple Apple TVs across many screens, and its main calling card is definitely that ease of use. Taking the complexity out of AV control for people who aren't AV techs, whether that's for a busy restaurant, a gym, or maybe even a complex home setup, it aims to democratize control.
Exactly. And if you zoom out, it really taps into this bigger trend we're seeing in technology, doesn't it? Making tools that were once exclusively professional grade much more accessible. It's about smart design, including that interesting choice of using reliable legacy hardware, putting complex power at your fingertips without needing that deep technical background just to operate it daily.
Which definitely leaves us with something interesting to think about. As our lives get more connected, more screens everywhere, Where else could we use this kind of no programming required simplification? What other complex systems are out there just waiting to be made accessible like this? And thinking further, what might be the unexpected upsides or maybe even the downsides of making advanced control so easy for everyone to use, perhaps without fully understanding the technology underneath? It's something for you to mull